The Harvest Show, where faith makes a world of difference.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of The Harvest Show. You know, summer is almost here, but actually summer was here. Isn't it great when Christian artists get to stop by? We get to kind of get our finger on the pulse of what's happening in the music world today.
That's right. Her name is Sommer Floyd, and we're going to learn a lot more about her.
Actually, when she was at a low point in her life, Sommer gave her brokenness to God, and he blessed her with songs for the heart. Well, she stops by today to share some of her great new music.
And how does an unlikely peasant girl get to be queen? We examine what it means to have the favor of the Lord in part 2 of A Chosen Woman of God.
And in today's Holy Land moment, Brian explains Israel's Declaration of Independence and proposed law.
So just be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter and follow us at live@LeSEA.com. World News begins right now.
On this Thursday, May 11th, here's what's happening in your world. Amid Democratic calls for a special prosecutor, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says a new investigation of Russia meddling could only serve to impede the current probes underway.
Our Democratic colleagues complaining about the removal of an FBI director whom they themselves repeatedly and sharply criticized. That removal being done by a man, Rod Rosenstein, whom they repeatedly and effusively praised.
If there was ever a time when circumstances warranted a special prosecutor, it is right now.
Democratic senators gathered to try to pressure the GOP over President Donald Trump's firing of FBI Director James Comey. The Senate and House Intelligence Committees are investigating Russian meddling in the presidential election and Russian ties to the Trump campaign. Immigration attorneys and advocates released a video showing the arrest of 2 people as they exited a courthouse in Denver. Immigration attorney Hans Myers said Tuesday the arrest of people at the courthouse has a chilling effect and could prevent people from showing up at courthouses.
You have something happening in full view for all the entrance and exits to that courthouse, and the message is unmistakable. If you're an immigrant community member and you watch that unfold in our courthouse, why would you ever trust coming to our courthouse?
Alvaro Tirso Sauceda Malgon has 2 misdemeanor convictions and received final deportation orders in 2012. Antonio Garcia has 2 convictions for driving under the influence and pled guilty to 2 additional charges since January. The Trump administration has announced it will arm Syria's Kurdish fighters as necessary to recapture the key Islamic State group stronghold of Raqqa, despite intense opposition from NATO ally Turkey, which sees the Kurds as terrorists. The decision is meant to accelerate the Raqqa operation, but it does undermine the Turkish government's view of the Kurds. Washington is eager to retake Raqqa, arguing it's a haven for IS operatives looking to plan attacks on the West. Germany's president says it has become truly urgent to start moving towards a 2-state solution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Frank-Walter Steinmeier made the comments in the West Bank city of Ramallah after meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Abbas met last week with President Trump, who has promised to try to broker an elusive deal. And Britain's top cleric, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, laid his hopes on the U.S. and President Trump to move that region closer to peace. Welby has been touring the Middle East for the last 10 days.
The key reflections I have, the most central one is the overwhelming need for peace. The need for political leaders of all sorts to have nothing more prominent in their minds each day that they wake up than the search for peace in this land.
Trump is to visit Israel May 22nd and 23rd and also visit the West Bank during his first official trip abroad. Coming up later, Pastor Mark Lantz examines what it means to have the favor of the Lord in part 2 of A Chosen Woman of God. But up next, singer and songwriter Sommer Floyd shares how God blessed her with songs for the heart. We're right back with more Harvest after this.
Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way, by taking heed to thy word. LeSEA Broadcasting is dedicated to getting thousands of free Bibles into the hands of young people around the world this year. Will you help? Call 1-800-365-3732 today.
And to welcome back to the set of Harvest. You know, we all walk through painful moments in life, but when we give our brokenness to God, He turns our missteps into a message that can be used to help other people. Singer Sommer Floyd has a new message. It's called Ray of Light. Welcome to the Harvest Show.
Thank you.
Sommer. Okay, so I opened up talking about, you know, the missteps that we take in life and some of the decisions that we make. They can be used for God's glory. And I was listening to Ray of Light, and I could just hear all of this in your music. Kind of tell me, how did you even come up with it? What's the backstory of it?
Well, you know, the funny thing is that whenever the album was actually being created, I had no idea that God was going to turn it into a music ministry. What had happened was I was at the lowest point in my life, and I found out that I was going to be a mother, and I was scared to death. And so instead of talking about it, I started writing down my feelings and my emotions down on a piece of paper. And music has always been a huge part of my life. And so I guess that side of it kind of kicked in, and I picked up my guitar and my Bible, and I just began writing all of these songs that just turned into worship for me that, you know, in time, 2 years later, ended up being put onto an album called Ray of Light. So
then that means you became a single mom.
Oh, yes.
Okay. There are moms, of course, you know, Sunday is Mother's Day. Mothers are listening and watching. What would you like to say, just as a side note, to encourage them?
Well, you know, I think that it's just really awesome that God has given us the title as mothers. Because what a new and just beautiful strength that we find just being a mother. And, you know, God never promised that it was going to be easy, but He did promise us that He'd always be there. And so my advice to moms out there is to slow down and just take the time to just listen and enjoy the little moments that God puts before us, and don't miss out. And I think kids have a really great way of showing us that.
So music runs through your family because your brother is a country singer?
Yes, he was, but now he's actually a husband and a father of 4. So, so if that tells you anything.
Okay,
so.
It tells me that he certainly has his priorities in the right place.
Yes, exactly.
Ray of Light, let's talk about some of the you know, some of the cuts. Stronger. Tell me about that one.
Stronger was kind of a last minute thing. I was actually on my way to Tennessee to finish up the recording process, and I began writing this song because a dear friend of mine called me and told me that his wife, they had gone into the emergency room, which I knew about. We were thinking it was allergy related, and she came out finding out that she had leukemia. And so I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and even in terms of believing in God, is, well, if God's real, then why do bad things happen to good people? And, you know, that was something that I even, you know, I felt a lot of sadness and a little bit of, you know, frustration, because I'm like, why them? You know, because they're incredible people just to begin with. He had been the worship pastor for, you know, over 30 years, and she was a huge part of the church and a teacher, and, you know, just the perfect role model for whenever you think of someone not only speaking about Christ, but living it. And so, but through that, what I realized whenever I wrote this song, it talks about the fact that God never said it was going to be easy, but, you know, His love for us is real. And in our weakness, His strength is made perfect. And that's something that it really speaks to a lot of people, but it really speaks to me as well, which is really neat to listen to my song and to be reminded that it's going to be okay.
So you can imagine the impact that it must have on listeners or someone who's in a concert listening to you sing, to hear them sing the lyrics back to you, to sing your music back to you. What's that like?
You know, Stronger is one of the most emotional songs for me that I have. I actually sang it at Cindy's funeral, and it's just incredible. I mean, people worshiping in general to me is just,
It takes you to another place.
Exactly. Well, and I believe that music in general speaks to people in a way that words cannot. You know, because we're so rebellious at times, and we don't. It's like we get good advice, but we can't accept it and, you know, move forth with our life and actually apply it. But yet you hear a song and you're like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. I mean, I tell you what, there's a song out there for every day of my life. You know, so it's like if you're feeling something, I guarantee there's a song that can help inspire and just lift you up in that moment.
What about I I need you?
I need you is kind of, it's a desperate cry to God, realizing that we don't have it all, you know, because for so long in my life, I went through a point to where I acted as if I was invincible. But the truth is that I don't have it all together, and that's fine because I know someone who does. And it's just the fact that every day of our lives, we need him even more.
And when you think about your music and when you think about what God, his plans for you, what does that instill in you? I know it's hope, but kind of talk about that, unpack
Excitement.
that. Okay.
I'm just so excited. And, you know, I truly believe, someone once told me that it's not about, if you want to be in God's presence, go where he's working. And so what's really neat about this whole situation and my music ministry is that God continues to open every door that we go through. And so, you know, I just pray that God will continue to open doors that no man can close and close doors that no man can open. And that's exactly what he's done so far. So whenever I envision my music and where I'm going, it's going to be where God calls me to go.
How's your daughter?
How old is she?
How is she?
Oh, she's great. I actually just got off the phone with her, and she's like, Mom, I cried a little bit last night because I really missed you.
Okay.
So, but no, she's great. She's with Granddaddy right now, and she's such a little blessing. Talk about, you know, you always hear stories about, you know, God turns brokenness into beautiful things, and, you know, you find blessings, and she is definitely my inspiration daily. And
so brokenness is not always it's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't regret anything that I've been through, you know, because it's made me who I am now, and it's allowed me to appreciate all of the good things in life. And no matter what brokenness you're going through or what, you know, bad things are happening, God, there's beautiful, you know, powerful things that come out of that.
Sommer, what's your go-to Bible verse?
Well, you know, that's a hard one because there's so many scriptures that are encouraging, but one that really helped me was 2 Corinthians 5:17. Because it talks about, it says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, they are a new creation. The old is gone, the new is here. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people need to hear, because it's not about your past mistakes or where you've been. It's about where God can use you and just picking up your feet and looking forward.
Wow, Sommer, thanks so much for stopping by and sharing with us your new music. To connect with Sommer or to get a copy of her new project, it's called Ray of Light. Go to sommerfloyd.com or go to harvest-tv.com for more information. Harvest continues in just a moment.
LeSEA Prayer Line.
You never said this would be easy. I never read there wouldn't be tears, but I still know that you are always here. Meet me in this place down here on the floor. Shower me with grace, 'cause I need you more. Lift 'cause I need you more. Lift me up so high, help me overcome with your healing hand. Only you can make me stronger, stronger, stronger. You make me stronger, stronger, stronger. You make me stronger, stronger, stronger. You make me stronger, stronger, stronger.
Here in Malawi, in this area, there are no deep wells. These are shallow wells dug in the bottom of a dried out riverbed where they wait for water to rise up through the rocks below. Memory here, she's got about 5 gallons, 40 pounds of water that she'll carry on her head back to her home just to have for her and her family. There's an opportunity for you to help sponsor a well so that in places like this, they have a deep water well nearby so they can have healthy water for a healthy life.
The gastrointestinal tract is one of the most fascinating systems in the human anatomy. It powers the body with energy by converting food into fuel. To keep your GI tract functioning strongly, order the new Restoration Pack by Making Healthy Choices. For just $59.95, you get certified organic inulin, a vegan prebiotic powder, Powerful Probiotic Blend Plus, a formula that promotes regularity and contains absolutely no gluten. Liquid Multigels, a multivitamin with lutein, lycopene, and flaxseed oil, and Mineral Concentrate for maximum cell function and better focus. The all-natural ingredients in the Restoration Pack may help lower inflammation and, in some cases, impact weight loss. To order the new Restoration Pack for just $59.95 plus free shipping, go online or call 1-800-965-2345. That's 1-800-965-2345. Your body will thank you.
In honor of Mother's Day coming up this week, we've taken Tuesday and we're taking today to talk about a great woman of God. Her name is Esther, and we're using her to remind you, ladies, that you are a chosen woman of God. So on Tuesday, I shared with you the thought that you're chosen in spite of your history. Today, I want you to consider this thought. You are chosen in spite of your opposition. Now, for you who know the story well, the king of Persia, where Esther resided, had just dispelled his wife Vashti from being queen. So 4 years have now passed, and the king is depressed. He's missing his queen. So his counselors, knowing his desires for a queen, they suggest a plan to fulfill those desires. Go with me to the book of Esther, chapter number 2 and verse 2, where the Bible said the king's servants had ministered to him, and they said, "Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king." And then verse 4 says, "Let that maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti." And the thing pleased the king, and so they did. So now you've got hundreds of beautiful young Persian women who have been gathered together from all parts of the country. Esther was one of them, but she was a long shot. Not only because of her nationality, remember she was a Jew, but also she refused the extravagant preparations that all of the other women had used. She took nothing but the essentials that were offered to her. Go back to the Bible in chapter 2, verse 15. It said she requested nothing but what Haggai, the king's eunuch, the custodian of the women, advised. But this is what I love. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all who saw her. Listen, the one thing that Esther had going for her was that she lived in the favor of God. Listen, my friend, I want you to understand this. You don't need the favor of the world to be chosen by God. All you need is His divine favor. You don't need everything that the world says that you need to be qualified to be used of God and succeed. I'm going to tell you that the world is going to try to sell you a bill of goods that you have no business buying. It's when the world disqualifies you that the favor of God comes, takes over, and puts you in positions that you never would have otherwise been able to reach. I look at Esther, and her Hebrew name is Hadassah. Hadassah means a myrtle, which is a common evergreen shrub of southern Europe. It blooms with shiny leaves. It's got white, rosy flowers, but it's also got a beautiful fragrance. I believe there was a grace, there was an aroma of beauty that followed Esther wherever she went. And I know some of you ladies are watching today, and maybe you're facing the adversity of the world around you, and you look at other women in the world and you think, I'm never going to be as beautiful as they are. But I want you to get this, my friend, in the sight of God, beauty's measured by the fragrance. It's measured by the favor and the grace of God that follows you everywhere that you go. Those women who walk in the favor and the grace of God, they are the most beautiful women in the world. So today I want you to look up. I want you to realize you are a chosen woman of God in spite of your history and in spite of the opposition against you. And today, walk in that favor, walk in that grace. Be the woman that God has chosen you to be.
Hello, everybody. The nation-state bill that we spoke about yesterday here in Israel can open up the legal door to population transfers, the limitation of the judiciary, and the privilege of one over the other. And that's why Israel's President Reuven Rivlin is speaking out against this bill. And he cites Israel's Declaration of Independence, which I thought I would share a bit of it with you today. It reads, "The state of Israel will be open for Jewish immigration and for the ingathering of the exiles. It will foster the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants. It will be based on freedom, justice, and peace as envisioned by the prophets of Israel. It will ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. It will safeguard the holy places of all religions, and it will be faithful to the principles of the Charter of the United Nations." A lot of people here in Israel feel that this document is now under threat. A document which guarantees the diversity of the inhabitants of the state and the prospering of its minorities. Friends, I'm going to be here to report on this and more. We hope that you continue to join us on The Harvest Show, and we'll keep you informed on what's happening here in the Middle East.
Got Facebook? Follow The Harvest Show.
Comment and share your opinions on current events.
See new after the show guest interviews.
Watch my updates and inspiration from Israel exclusively for Facebook.
Facebook.com/The Harvest Show. Like us today. We do encourage you to connect with us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, but also to connect with us through LeSEA Prayer Line 24/7, 24 hours a day. Wonderful volunteers and staff back there answering your calls and ready to pray, ready to see the Lord work, and ready to hear your praise reports as well.
That's right, Stephen. That number is 1-800-365-3732. And we want to just get that in your mind, so anytime you need prayer, you can give us a call. And I think do we have enough time to pray?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
We got 30
Father,
seconds.
in Jesus' name, we thank you so much for this
Thank you,
day.
Lord.
We thank you for all that you have said and done in our lives. We ask that you would bless, heal, and deliver everyone who has called in requesting prayer. We'll be so careful to give your name the glory for it. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Back to you.
Amen. Well, I was going to say, there's times that you've called prayer line when you thought you were calling the bank or calling the doctor's office, but it was prayer line, and that really should be the first number you call. Great to see you today here on The Harvest Show. Look forward to seeing you on the Friday edition tomorrow.
The Word of God has the power to transform broken lives, but only if we share it with those who don't know the good news. Each $5 you give will provide a Bible to one person. A gift of $5 provides one Bible, $25 sends 5, and a gift of $180 provides a case of 36 Bibles to those in need. Pray about your gift and then call 1-800-365-3732 to give today.
Do you long to visit the Holy Land but don't want to travel alone? On a LeSEA tour to Israel, you're not alone. Our team of professionals has more than 50 years' experience bringing Christians together in the fascinating land of the Bible. You and your new friends will worship together as you sail the Sea of Galilee, break bread in the Garden Tomb, and get baptized in the Jordan River, just like Jesus and the disciples did more than 2,000 years ago. What better way to experience the sights and sounds of ancient Jerusalem than with other believers from around the world? To join us for a life-changing trip to Israel, November 8th through 17th, 2017, go online to LeSEATours.com or call 1-800-685-3732. Tell the operator to send you a free information packet today, but seats are limited, so don't wait. Call now. Just one visit to the Holy Land and your faith will never be the same.
The Harvest Show is produced by LeSEA Broadcasting and is viewer supported by people just like you. Thank you for inviting us into your home today.